We've just had a ton of info regarding Halo Infinite's next big update, and that is of course going to be the topic of today's video, so without wasting any more of your time, let's jump straight in. First things first, let's talk about the Mark IV. It is definitely confirmed to be an armor core, which means it is completely free. And this is a very nice surprise, one of the best looking sets of armor in the entire franchise, and it's completely free. You just log in and it's there. The core itself looks gorgeous, it looks straight out of Halo Wars 2. And thanks to cross-core, you will already have multiple ways to customize it. Not just with the helmets, but with the shoulder pads too, as immediately after they showed off the Mark IV, they confirmed cross-core shoulder pads are coming. And it looks like it does apply to every single shoulder pad on the game, and you can use cross-core shoulders on every single core. Which means you'll have a ton of options for the Mark IV and for everything else that came before it too. People are going to finally be able to make those ODST builds on Mirage and Rikshasa that they've been dreaming of. And it means cores like Chimera or Eagle Strike, which didn't have a ton of options beforehand, are going to have way more. This also means, by the way, if you are a new player, by default you will now have access to 9 different helmets and 9 different sets of shoulder pads that you can use across all 9 of those armor cores. So you will have a ton of options right out the gate. It might actually be a little more than that, because while watching the stream again, I noticed that when they were scrolling through the shoulder pads, you also noticed the Reach Gungnir shoulders, and they are labelled as a common item, which could mean that these are in fact just a free item that are given out to every player when the season launches. If you then throw in the Winter Update Battle Pass into the mix, which is of course completely free, contains multiple sets of shoulders and multiple helmets, you will have even more. It looks like battle passes are being ditched, which I know a lot of people are going to be pretty happy about, and instead we're just going to have operations. They've confirmed the next 3 of these, with the first being Spirit of Fire. And I'm a little bit skeptical regarding this, as it looks like there's still 20 tiers, but the first 10 are basically complete filler, and that's a little disappointing. However, the 10 things you unlock after that, the new armor set especially, look great. This helmet looks astounding, and the Mark IV armor pieces you get are pretty cool. It also has a really cool purchase bonus, being this classic assault rifle weapon model, which is based on the Combat Evolved appearance. So you should be able to get that for 500 credits. The next 2 operations were also confirmed, with the second one being Cyber Showdown 3. Again, pretty excited for this, but the first 10 tiers contain a lot of filler. The 10 items you do unlock, the pieces of armor, are for Chimera, which is pretty interesting. But it does definitely feel on brand for the event, and I'm curious to see what other stuff will sort of come with it. As for the armor, it's definitely unique, I'll give it that. And then the final one was a sequel to the Yappening event. As a proud yapper myself again, looking forward to this, and it seems like we get a pretty cool grunt themed helmet alongside some nice cosmetics for the Mark VII, with shoulder pads and helmets obviously being cross-core now. So there's no battle pass, instead we have 3 completely free events that do all, of course, have purchase bonuses, and they're not technically free permanently, but I think you'll have about 40 days to complete each one. Maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. But realistically, you've got more than enough time to get these things done, and even if you do miss out, you just pay the 500 credits, I think it is, to keep them permanently. The biggest drawback I personally see here is this means that most of the items that we'll have for the Mark IV will likely be on the store, as there is only going to be 1 set that we unlock through any of these new operations, which is of course on the Spirit of Fire one, and that likely means the majority of the Mark IV armor will be on the store. This isn't necessarily a huge issue, especially with cross-core, so now you'll have a ton of options regardless of if you spend money. And to be fair, the default core itself looks absolutely amazing without any additions. Maybe there will be some other stuff unlocked as ultimate rewards. I think that is definitely a possibility now, especially if the TV show helmets are any indication. Speaking of which, there's another pretty exciting thing in regards to customization, which revolves ultimate rewards. They have confirmed that the 3 helmets from the Halo TV show, being the ones that belong to Riz, Kai, and Vanek, will all be free ultimates. So that is 3 really cool helmets that are completely free. We get another version of EOD, and then 2 completely unique ones that look astonishing. But it does mean you will only have a week to unlock them. Except 343 kind of hinted towards something else later on in the stream, being a way to unlock prior ultimate rewards and older event items. And it sounds like we might be getting something similar to the exchange from Master Chief Collection, where you will level up, unlock Spartan points, which can then be spent on this new store system to unlock some of those older rewards. And this would be a great change. Right now, the progression system itself feels really lackluster, so if it is where they add points that you unlock every time you level up, which can be spent on unlocking some of those older items or ultimate rewards you missed out on or events that you missed out on, I think that'll be great. Again, it gives people more to unlock even if you're playing for free, and it's just a great thing for players that missed out on some of that older stuff. In other news regarding customization, it also appears that the Season 1 Halo Championship kits are finally going to be unlocked, and they will now become cross-core coatings, which I think is awesome. If you did buy them in the first season, then you will now have it as a coating that you should be able to use on all of your cores. Which was then followed by an announcement showing off the new HCS kits, some of which look absolutely amazing. There's some really cool and creative skins here. I know the visor you get in the Space Station bundle is definitely a huge talking point right now. This trailer also showcased some other unreleased armour. These Yoroi shoulder pads stick out to me as they've shown up in multiple trailers now and have still not released, which makes me very sad because they look really cool. And just briefly with the mention of Yoroi, it looked like earlier on when we saw the Tenrai core, it was also sporting a new wrist attachment, which could mean we see some more Tenrai themed cosmetics released this season. Or I guess, update. Because seasons are kind of gone now, but I'll speak more about that in a sec. While we're still on the topic of these HCS bundles though, this new Bandit Rival model looks absolutely insane. Definitely seems very bizarre as far as Halo weapon models go, but honestly, I kinda like it. And it sounds like we'll be getting more that are very similar to it in the future. But let's move away from customization and talk about maps. 343 showcased a new arena map called Illusion, and it definitely seems very interesting. Visually, it kind of reminds me of Recharge. However, in terms of its layout and its overall game design, it is quite different. It looks to be some Oni facility and it does look cool, but the real star of the show is the center of the map here, that when you walk through, it applies an active camo effect to every player inside of it. And it definitely seems like one of the most creative maps we have in the game. This genuinely just sounds like a fun gameplay mechanic, although I do fear it'll probably get quite campy in that middle zone, especially with the little vent areas that you can crawl into. You know, people are just going to sit in there. But with it being pretty narrow, I'm sure it'll be easy enough to deal with them with a well-placed grenade or two. Unfortunately, as far as dev-made maps go, that was pretty much it. There's no BTB map and there's no other arena map. But then they went on to talk about Forge, and there's some really exciting stuff there, including the Covenant Object Palette, which now means the community will be able to make some really cool Covenant-themed maps. I know we've seen some already, but now with actual Covenant objects. This also come with the reveal of some other changes, like you'll be able to change the materials and overall look of foliage, stuff like trees, rocks, bushes, flowers, all that sort of stuff. They also revealed 2 upcoming palettes, one of which is this cool, like, alien jungle-y type thing. It looks very similar to the overall design of Forest, and then the other one, which I know is going to get a lot of people excited, is a Flood Object palette. These aren't coming out with the update, these will be releasing at a later date, but regardless, there's some really exciting stuff, especially for forgers. But even if you're not a forger, it's something you should be excited about because you'll likely see this in some future matchmaking maps. And then that was followed by the reveal of the 3 Forge-made big team battle maps that will be coming to the game. Those being Obituary, Thunderhead, and Insolence. It is great to finally hear that we're having some Forge-made big team battle maps in matchmaking, and 343 did mention that they're on the lookout for more. So if you want to jump into Forge, there's no better time than the present. They also mentioned that there is going to be some map refreshes in regards to Husky Raid and Squad Battle. They didn't specify what maps, but it's clear that we should be seeing new maps added to those in the future, again made by the community. And it's just cool to see 343 work with the players and with the forgers to incorporate some really cool maps. I'm hoping we do have a new dev-made big team battle map very soon, because it feels like it's been way too long. The last one was Scar, we really need more. And big team battle honestly needs more game modes. Which is unfortunate because it doesn't sound like we're getting any new game modes with this new season. I was kind of expecting maybe VIP would be announced, but right now it doesn't seem like there's going to be anything, and that definitely lets me down a little bit. I should clarify, I don't think the Forge BTB maps are coming out straight away with the update, but we shouldn't have to wait too much longer after. So with the release on January 30th, it will just be the new arena map. At least that's all we're aware of right now. When they did talk about the HCS stuff too, they also went on about the new roadmap, which I'm not going to go into full detail with. But it looks like there's a Halo Championship event coming to London this year, which I'm hopefully going to attend. That'll be sometime in May, so I'm kind of excited for that. And normally, I don't really care too much, but now that there's one that's going to be a bit closer to home, one that I can actually get to, I've got to say I'm a little excited and I really hope I can attend it. But with that, I guess it's time to talk about what I mentioned earlier, and it looks like seasons as a whole are done. So Season 5 is technically the last seasonal update the game will ever receive, and instead we're just going to get content updates which will likely be paired up with more operations. And right now, I don't know how to feel about this. I've seen a lot of people go straight into panic mode and they think this is 343 ditching Halo Infinite. I can assure you, that is not the case. If they were ditching it, they wouldn't be working on any new content for it, full stop. And trust me, there is exciting things on the way. I think the lack of a battle pass for me is kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, it kind of means there isn't really as much to grind for. We have the 20 tier operations and of course the ultimate rewards, but that's about it. But it also means all of those operations which fill the battle pass slot are completely free, and that's kind of a cool thing. We have a ton of free content now. Although a lot of those operations are filled with a bunch of filler tiers. I don't know, it's something I'm gonna sit on before I really give a decisive opinion. I'll see how I feel when the update arrives. But I think this could be a good change, as now 343 don't have to rely on a big season to update the game. They can just update it at their own pace, drop content for fans. Whether they announce it or just shadow drop it is entirely up to them. And sure, it may not draw in as much hype as a new season, potentially, but I think that's purely dependent on the type of content they do add. I am super excited in regards to customization stuff, you probably already can tell, but cross-core shoulders and the addition of the Mark IV armor core, that's insane. I am very, very, very disappointed in the lack of sandbox additions though. No new vehicles, no new weapons, no weapon variants, no equipment. So as a whole, other than cosmetics, this update feels a little bit empty. We do have a really cool new arena map, and we know there's some cool Forge stuff coming. There's some cool Forge stuff developed by 343, which will then lead to amazing maps made by the community, and then there's some really cool community-made maps which are coming to the game in an official capacity. Outside of that, right now, I really don't know how to feel. But I am curious what you all have to say, so let me know down in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.